Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another live episode of Behind Beliefs and Behaviors. Dr. Maisha here, and I actually am very excited to chat with you today about what we're talking about, specifically because I've talked a lot about trust and psychological safety, but what I have not talked specifically about are this element of what's behind trust. And there are many different things. There are many different things that build in trust in relationships, in organizations, in communities. There are many things that can destroy trust. And the one that I want to talk about today is transparency. And so when I speak about transparency, I'm speaking about this level of honesty where there's nothing to hide. And it's a space, it's a way of being, but it also is an action. And so when we talk about transparency and nothing to hide, I want to distinguish that from situation vomiting or trauma dumping, right? Not the like word vomiting or brutal, even brutal honesty. I want to distinguish it from that because that's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being honest in a way, being transparent situationally, contextually, with discernment about whatever the circumstance is, whatever maybe you're dealing with, if it's appropriate to the circumstance or situation. So, what I think transparency brings to the table, and we'll talk about this more, brings to the table our humanity. It brings to the table a level of integrity. It brings to the table a level of accountability because if we're transparent in what our goals are and what our intentions are and what our results and our actions are, then we can be held accountable for what we say we want or who we say we are in this particular situation or circumstance. And ultimately, when we have that level of transparency, it increases the trust and it brings a level of safety into the container. Okay. And so, what I'll share with you what this looks like and how it's showed up, um, both personally and professionally. And so I'll start with professionally in my organization. We conduct team meetings on a weekly basis. And during these meetings, we always start with what's good. We always start with um, what are our wins? What results have we produced? What are we seeing that's good? And we do that specifically because um, when you start a meeting that way, it helps for people to look forward to the meeting. You're going to either anchor in a positive feeling or kinesthetic for people coming to these types of gatherings, these meetings, these huddles, or you're going to end up anchoring a negative kinesthetic. And it's definitely more productive. It definitely creates more safety when you lead with what's working, what's good. And so I lead the meeting with what's good in all aspects. And then uh, we go into the meat of the meeting, which is, getting reports from each of the team members on what results are we producing, what results are we not producing, and how's that showing up? Like, what is that like for the team member? And then we also look at, well, okay, what about this thing is not working? So we're going through these aspects during the team meeting, and I too hold myself accountable by being transparent about what results I'm producing, what results we're as an organization not producing, what gaps need to be filled, and what are the goals? What are my goals? And when I'm transparent about what those goals are, then the team can actually buy in to helping to reach those goals. And so, as with every business, there are always ups and downs. It's like the stock market. You get the You get the market going up, you get the pullbacks, and then you get the market going back up. And so I've had my team, my specific team with me for many, many years. Some of them are newer to the team within the last year, but many of them 4, 5, 10 years, 15 years with me for the amount of time that some have been with me through my career transitions, through a couple of them, right? And so they stay with me through the ups and downs. They have stayed with me through the ups and downs of the organization's growth, uh, because of the level of transparency that I bring, and the level, and it allows them to take ownership, and to lean into, well, what can we do as a team to take it to the next level. And so as we have um, grown, as we have progressed as an organization, the team is bought in. They are holding themselves accountable, and they're holding me accountable, and I'm holding them accountable. And so it really does elevate our level of action, our level of performance as an organization, to have this level, this transparency, right? It brings that integrity into the organization, and it helps the team feel safe to let me know when something's going on with them that may impact their performance, or that may impact the team, so that we can navigate that however we need to navigate it. It also helps the team to feel safe to say when they've made a mistake, or if they've missed something, because I'm not the kind of boss that's going to jump on them, or to shame, or to punish, or to blame. It's just a level of holding them accountable. This is the agreement. Are you meeting the agreement? Are you breaking the agreement? And so it gives them a higher level of integrity and accountability as well. And so it's important to not only hold transparency as a value to your teams, but also as a leader for yourself. And that takes growth, because for some people growing up, that level of honesty and that level of transparency, it has not been allowed. It has come with consequences. It has come with pain, and that level of transparency has come with trauma. And so it's useful, and there's also whole, I would say, whole industries that make being honest a very bad thing. As a physician, I have been told, coming up in my training, that that physicians should not, like, if they make a mistake, don't apologize, because it could lead to it um, is a sign of that you actually made a mistake, and that you're wrong, and you could get sued. However, however, that is from a humanity standpoint, for a person who does feel a sense of remorse if there is a mistake that's made. It's misaligned with a value. Now, so there's been a lot of research that contradicts that belief, that contradicts that that mantra that happens in the industry of medicine. And what they show is that physicians and healthcare providers who, when they make a mistake, actually apologize, they are less likely to be sued. And that's because there's that humanity in that transparency of, you know what? I did this. I apologize. Now sometimes there still might be a lawsuit at hand just because it depends on the level of harm that has occurred. But there's a lot of research that shows that there's less likely to be outright lawsuit when there's an apology there. And that's because in the face of one's mistake, that apology is that level of accountability. It's a level of transparency. It's a level of integrity, and it's a level of humanity. And so, as leaders in organizations, there's even outside of the industry of medicine, there is a strong conversation of being unapologetic in the way you deal with people. And I think that we need to start looking at that from a more trauma informed perspective and looking at where that's causing harm, destroying trust and safety. Right. So being transparent about where you might be, being willing to be transparent about where you may have made a mistake, where you may have um, treated someone in a way that was unacceptable and recognized it, or being transparent about where it was coming from and your own bias around it, your own thinking process, errored thinking process around it. That opens the conversation. And then, you know, making amends is a key component when you've caused harm in the space of this being transparent about making the mistake or your thinking process or your bias or whatever. So we want to be clear that transparency is an element of creating trust and safety, but it's not the only element. It goes with it goes with other elements. It goes with acknowledgement. It goes with uh, making amends when harm is caused, tending to the impact when harm is caused. So transparency in and of itself is a very valuable way of being, and it doesn't it by itself does not carry the day. All right, so I just want to make that clear. And so how this shows up in my home, as you all know, I have a son. And how this shows up in my home is just transparency around uh, mostly how I'm feeling in the moment. If I'm, yeah, I don't, if I'm feeling a little bit stressed, and I don't need to tell my son everything that's going on in the business and my life in order to share with him transparently, like, mommy's not feeling so well right now. I'm going to go up and I'm going to take a little break, right? Rather than, and if when I'm transparent about how I'm feeling with my son, then it gives him the opportunity to not only manage himself, but allow me to take a break and, you know, care for myself. And I'm modeling that. I'm modeling that to him. And then I can come back to him when I am feeling more like myself, and we can go about our ways, playing our games or watching TV together or cuddling or doing whatever we're doing our activities together. But I can say transparently to him if he gets in the car and he's like, "Oh, can we have a conversation? Can we tell jokes?" And I'm really like managing some stuff. I can say, "You know what? I'm not in the mood to do that right now. Can we listen to a podcast instead?" Or I need like 5 minutes of quiet time. I'll set the alarm. And in that transparency, he can I'm modeling, okay, this is self-care, but I'm also communicating with him, this is what this is mommy's needs right now. And she's human, and she has a range. I'm not, perfect robotic mommy. She has a range of experience and emotions. And it also communicates to him that he's allowed to have a range of experiences and emotions. So when he maybe has a little bit of an emotional meltdown, he can come back to me and feel safe to say, you know what, I apologize that I, you know, acted this way. I was a little bit cranky because I didn't get good sleep last night. And then we can manage that. Why did you get good sleep? right? And we can hug it out. Or, oh, mommy, I really need some quiet time. Can we not listen to a podcast? Or if I'm listening to my music, can you listen to that in your ears? Because I really just need some quiet time and I can put my earbuds on. So there's a lot of ways that that transparency and that honesty shows up, especially when you're embodying it from that trauma informed perspective. So with that, um, I I invite you I invite you to look at the areas of your life, particularly if you're and particularly if you're in an organization and a leader, the areas inside of the organization, the areas inside of on your team, the areas inside of your own leadership where transparency is present and where it's absent, and begin to just explore, well, why is transparency absent? Why is there a lack of transparency in the organization, or on the team, or with people who are interacting with you? Why is there a lack of transparency? Is there a lack of safety? Is there a lack of trust? Is is it the other way around? What is the source of that? And that's one of the things that I help organizations with, is finding the source. And then how do you cultivate that transparency in a way, and that trust in a way that feels safe, that is trauma informed, and begin to explore that as well. Same thing in your home. How does If it's showing up, I say, one of the things that I say is, um, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you notice that there's transparency that's missing in your home, look at where it's missing in your work. If you're noticing that it's missing in your work, look at where it's missing in your home or in your communities and various relationships. Where's withholding happening? Right? That's sort of the opposite of transparency, is withholding. Where are things being withheld? And why are things being withheld? And what is missing that needs to be put in place to create that level of safety for transparency, which builds the trust? And that's we're coming back around. It builds the trust. All right. So I invite you to take a look at that. Go and apply that to your life, to your organizations today. And I invite you to invite me if this is a conversation that your organization is having, that you notice that there's a gap in trust and transparency and psychological safety in your organization. I invite you to invite me to a conversation of how what are the ways that we could potentially work together. As you know, as I've shared, I have, for healthcare organizations, I have my course, Communication That Transforms, is newly CME accredited, and you can find out more about um, the information about that about the accreditation, about the CME, and how you can earn CME as a physician, a nurse, or a healthcare provider, by going to the website you see here, mindremappingacademy.com, and also I will put the link in our show notes, as well as for those who are looking at this live, I'll put that link in the comments section so that you can check it out. But I consult, I speak, I train and hold workshops, and I have a course that help organizations and leaders to build the skills, specifically build the skills, that's the gap that I feel, is building the skills of creating psychological safety and trust through trauma informed communication. And so, if that is something that is a conversation in your organization, in your association, in your hospital, in your medical system, in your residency program, in your employee resource group or business resource group, I invite you to give me um, a call or reach out to me by email or on the platform, and let's talk about what are the ways that we collaborate to bring more of that into your organization. All right. And of course, I always ask if you will share this episode, share with a friend, share with a colleague, share with a family member, because I believe that this conversation is a conversation that needs to be spread, that is extremely important to not only organizations, but to families and to communities. So, as always, I'm committed to seeing you empowered because these are the conversations that transform. And our leadership for the next generation. You are the bridge to a new future. So until that, I'll see you on the next episode. And until that time, stay empowered.